David Drummond, welcome to you. You wrote a letter to the Attorney General today in which you appear to acknowledge that Google does comply with government requests for user data. So that is in fact the case?
Yes, that's the case. We sent that letter because there's been a serious misimpression that's been created in the wake of the stories that came out in the last few days, stories that we were as shocked by as everyone else. And the misimpression is that we're doing some kind of large-scale or participating in a program that does large-scale surveillance on our users, and that's just not the case. And we want to be able to be more transparent about what we do, which is occasionally comply with national security orders as we're required to do. What we'd like the government to do is to allow us to say more.
There seems to be a distinction between direct and indirect access to data. What exactly is the government allowed to look at in terms of user data?
Let me be very clear about this. We do not participate in any kind of a program that gives the government any access to our servers, direct or otherwise, nor do we allow the government to place any kind of equipment on our systems. What we do and what we have been transparent about as much as we can is that we comply from time to time with these government orders. We take them very seriously. We review them very carefully. We push back if they're overbroad. And here's the important thing. We serve hundreds of millions of users. Only a tiny, very tiny fraction of our users have ever been subject to one of these requests, national security requests. So this idea that we are sort of participating in a broad program here is simply false, and we want to make that clear, and we want to make that categorically clear.
How exactly do these requests work? Do you get a court order? Do you have to have one? Who sees it at your end, and who approves it?
Yeah, these are the FISA court orders that you've heard about, and we have a team that handle these directly. And we have experience with those. As I said, we review them very, very carefully. And when we determine that we need to comply, then we deliver the information to the government. And it's very clear. We deliver it to them. We push it out to them. They don't come access it through any machines at Google.
Are there specific cases where Google has said no to a request for access?
Well, we're on record in other contexts of having pushed back, and so we are willing to push back if something is overly broad.
So people wondering what are the limits of the use when in the instances when you do comply, is that a broad brush for data, or is it very targeted and specific what the government's looking for?
Look, one of the things we're asking here, what we wrote in the letter, is that we would like to be able to say more about the number of these requests that we get, what they cover, and be more transparent about it. We've pioneered this concept of being transparent about the government requests that we get. We think it's really important as a check on our behavior, as a check on the government's behavior, and we are asking the Attorney General and the FBI Director to allow us to provide more of that information. But what I can tell you is that these are targeted requests, as I said, of the hundreds and hundreds of millions of users. We're talking about a tiny fraction that's affected, and we'd like to say more about that.
You sound very frustrated just in listening to you about what you can and cannot say, and about what you see as misperceptions about how this works.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, but that's why we want to say more, because we want it to be clear that what the actual facts are, and there have been a lot of things being said about our participation in a program that just aren't true, and so we really would like to set the record straight. As I said, we were surprised, one, by the Verizon national security order involving phone records. We've never received anything so broad. We were surprised by the allegations made about this so-called PRISM program. And I said we don't participate in anything that's described there. So we really wanted to get the record straight, and we wanted to make the request of the government to help us set the record straight by allowing us to provide more detail in our transparency report about these kinds of national security orders.
All right, and one more question is, what about sharing with other governments? We're talking about the U.S. government here. Do you get these kinds of requests from other governments, the UK or others?
Well, we have received requests from other governments from time to time. I think it's important to understand that Google's a U.S. company. The data is based here in the U.S. We typically ask those countries to go through the treaty-based process, law enforcement, to get access to that material.
All right, David Drummond of Google, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.